Them that's got shall get, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible said, and it still is news. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got her own, that's got her own. Jasmine, Jada, Demetrius, Nadrea, Johanna, Johari, Shannon, Tiffany, the Great Eight. Give it up for them. The Great Eight. We celebrate you passionately following your own path to educational excellence on purpose, running your own divine race in your own lane. We celebrate your courage, a journey of strength to empower yourselves to meet a demand for a PhD. Yeah. A terminal degree. Sounds like a disease to me. We celebrate you overcoming and beating out the self-saboteurs in your life and the doubt, the fear of success, overcoming all the barriers that were inside you and outside you. Sometimes I know you wanted to give up, but you persisted and you kept the perspective. Resilient, always remembering why. Why am I doing this? We celebrate you working full-time, missing family time, behind in work, fatigue, daughter, sister, mother, life partner, friend, scholar, multitasking all the way through, sometimes walking, running, crawling back and forth, up and down, reading, researching, publishing in the library, presenting, teaching, mentoring, modeling, fellowships, and CVs. Money, please. We need money, please. We need money, please. We celebrate your not quitting, sometimes falling, stopping, misstepping, stalling, questioning, procrastinating, failing, tumbling, stumbling, but not quitting. And we celebrate you curating a necessary sister, scholar, crew, a team, tackling hurdles and removing obstacles, knocking down walls, connecting with sisters that have your back, that identify with you, talk your language, share your experiences, and remind you, you are not alone. We celebrate mentorships with sister doctors and community around you gathered, believing in you, debriefing you, strategizing with you on this PhD journey. They dropped wisdom, shared, encouraged you to blossom and develop your own unique voice. And they challenged you to your greatness. We celebrate you rising, serving, achieving, holding on and singing your own song. Tough, intelligent, intentional, thick-skinned, soft-hearted, focused, courageous, standing in solidarity. We celebrate you. Sister Soul Power. Power to break down statistics of disempowerment. You have power now to dismantle broken educational systems. You have power now to become the professors that you don't always see. You have power You now have power to ensure that now somebody knows they need money in their last year when they're already winning. Soul power. We celebrate you knowing that with God, anything can be accomplished. A support system that loves you and remembering his and her stories. You are like coal pressured into diamonds. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Jada. Thank you, Demetrius. Thank you, Nadrea. Thank you, Johanna. Thank you, Jahari. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you. You make us proud.
Good morning. I am Natasha Flowers, a clinical associate professor in teacher education in the School of Education here at IUPUI. You have just heard the soulful voice of Miss Vicki Daniel, an IUPUI alumni from the School of Nursing. She graduated this day 31 years ago? What? Congratulations. That is amazing. She performs music, art, jazz, poetry, and African American folk music, as well as gives lectures. Vicki has performed for Patti LaBelle and shared the stage with Shirley Caesar, the Carl Hines Trio, Iyanla Van Zant, and many more. We are pleased to have the Indiana jazz legend and the official Madam C.J. Walker reenactor with us. Please give Vicki Daniel another hand. On behalf of the School of Education, we want to welcome you all to Honoring Their Story, Black Women in Indiana University School of Education. All of us today will sit uncomfortably with the knowledge that the ground where we rest our feet is restless, stolen, repossessed, and damned. We understand that these Black women represent what happens not because of resilience or sponsorship, but because they were born to disrupt and put this nation in formation. It is their destiny. We want to acknowledge loved ones who have traveled far to see you, those who loved you before we knew you. We want to acknowledge that you are Black and that this identity is complex and co-opted at every turn. We should recognize today that you will continue to face the clear and present danger of anti-Black hostility, or what Toni Morrison called our nation's drug of choice. You will continue to confront sexism, classism, homophobia, xenophobia, and good old-fashioned hate. Supremacy is built to last, but you have a purpose. We celebrate you because we need you. The world will tax your greatness and won't know or care about the private stash of phenomenal that you have held within you since birth. We need you because you were born to regenerate after each fight for justice, and this fight for your PhD won't even be your greatest struggle. You are already better than any award, any job offer, any invitation to submit, any committee, or any project. Your brilliance and creativity has been under development for generations, and so it is your turn to contribute, to participate. We will not sabotage you, and we will not ignore what you have to offer. We will honor you, and as always, we will learn from you today. I would now like to welcome IUPUI's Chancellor, Dr. Nasser Paydar, to the stage to share remarks.
Well, thank you, Natasha. Ms. Daniel, that was beautiful. Welcome back to your own campus. Help me thank her again for that wonderful opening. And good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here this morning. I want to congratulate Dimitris, Jada, Jasmine, Johari, Joanna, Nadria, Shannon, and Tiffany. I'm incredibly proud of these remarkable women and their strong support of and connection to IUPUI. As all of you know, they have come to be known in social media and elsewhere as Grade 8. I know I have tweeted several times about Grade 8, but I think it is very important that we recognize each of them individually by name. This way, we can celebrate each woman's individual accomplishments as well as their collective achievements. In your struggles and success, you have become role models for students throughout the state and the nation. Your strength, your courage, your voices, and the direction you're headed inspire all of us. Now, I want to talk for a moment about the direction that IUPUI is headed. Now, some of you have heard me say that I want us to become a majority-minority campus at IUPUI, and we are making progress towards that goal of becoming a majority-minority campus right here in the state of Indiana, in central Indiana. Though this will not happen in next year or two, but we are already on our way. Those preparations are guided by our strategic plan. That plan includes student success and diversity as key goals. And together, we are making progress towards those goals. For the past 4 years, IUPUI has been honored with the Higher Education Excellence in Diversity Award, recognizing all that we do in that strategic area. Let me emphasize this. Past 4 years in a row, we have been recognized nationally. I do not know of a single other university in the state of Indiana or in the country that has been recognized 4 times in a row for what we do here. I think that deserves a hand for all of the faculty staff here. We have been and must continue to be a leader in diversity, equity, and inclusion. To that end, in my installation as Chancellor in November, I reaffirmed my commitment to African American student success when I pledged to increase the number of African American students at IUPUI by 50% over the next 5 years. And a key element in our recruitment and retention has been scholarship and financial aid. We will be increasing the amount of need-based aid we offer by 100%. We are doubling it from today to this fall. Now, to strengthen our recruitment strategies, I called in my first week on the job for the formation of the Task Force on African American Student Recruitment and Retention. I'm pleased to say that we have received their recommendation and we are in the process of implementing those recommendations so that we can recruit, retain, but most importantly, graduate more African American students at IUPUI. That's right. Now, our efforts reach beyond campus into the community. I'm proud to say that the first recipient of the Charles Bance Chancellor's Fellowship Award have received substantial support for the research of Indianapolis neighborhoods like the vibrant Near West Side, predominantly African American neighborhoods that once stood where IUPUI now stands. Anthropology Professor Paul Mullins and Susan Hyatt are building on Mullins' previous research. We are partnering with the city in this and other ways to help make IUPUI a more welcoming and inclusive campus. Now, to that end, I established the Welcoming Campus Initiative. The initiative includes 5 task forces focused on what a welcoming campus means to different groups at IUPUI, including faculty and staff, students, alumni, and community. In addition, one task force focuses specifically on our physical campus, and the 5th focuses on cultural climate and multicultural competency at IUPUI. Now, this last task force grows in part out of conversations with the Black Student Union and the perspective they shared with me on Black African American students' experiences at IUPUI. I want to return to the remarkable students that we are celebrating here this morning. Dimitris, Jada, Jasmine, Joharia, Joanna, Nadria, Shannon, and Tiffany. Your personal achievements are inspirational. As a group, your voice is even more powerful. I would like to close by recognizing that as educators, you are in the ideal position to affect powerful change in our society. You touch the lives of fellow educators and colleagues, but most important, you will work with generations of students who will look to you as mentors and models. May you share with them everything they need to be successful and productive. And may you help them develop their own voices for social justice and equity. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Padar. Please welcome Dr. Terry Mason, Interim Dean at the IU School of Education, to the stage to share his remarks.
And thank you all for coming out for this incredible event today. I'm really honored, in fact, to be a part of this event. It is indeed a cause for celebration. It's an unprecedented achievement on the part of these 8 women, and it really represents a source of pride for the school and for the university. The extraordinary collective accomplishment of these 8 women is, as I mentioned, really remarkable and unique. However, each one of them individually represents a unique story and unique individual set of accomplishments. Most recently, I had a chance to meet with the group, and I've had a chance to read about them on social media as individuals as well. And I was able to come to understand the struggles and challenges that have been different for each one of them. Jasmine, Dimitris, Tiffany, Shannon, Nadria, Jada, Johanna, and Jahari all experienced different challenges in their path to becoming, to achieving this PhD degree that they are going to be awarded. They've been all mothers or wives or single parents, working multiple jobs, and also in addition to all that, students. They had to accomplish the things that were required of them for their degree program, which, as you all know, I'm sure, were substantial and very, very significant. In my discussions with them, though, when we met, one of the things that I found remarkable was that in spite of their individual and collective accomplishments, what they are doing, the way they expressed it, it was not about them. They talked mostly about their legacy. Who would follow? Who are the people that would inherit the world that they would create? And they also expressed the idea that while this is a cause for celebration, there's also a hope that someday an event like this would be commonplace. The Great 8 would become the Great 80, and then the Great 800, and so on. That over time, these kinds of achievements we would recognize as significant and important, but would not be so unusual. But in order to do that, in order to achieve a world such as that, we have work to do. There are problems in education that have to be solved. And I know that they're aware of this. I'm sort of preaching to the choir here in a sense when I talk to them about these issues. But these are the kinds of things that they will confront in order to create an environment, a situation for others to follow in their footsteps. For example, we have a school-to-prison pipeline that needs to be disrupted. There are discipline methods being employed in schools, including things like school suspension, that disproportionately impact students of color. In addition, high-stakes testing has the same effect of affecting the lives of students of color and students from underrepresented groups. But to resolve these issues, we all need to work together to solve these problems. When I met with the group, they indicated that they were more than willing to devote their careers to working on resolving these kind of problems, but they also said that they didn't want to do it alone, that they couldn't be the only voices. They couldn't be those who were only speaking out on these particularly important issues. It would take an effort from all of us. So I think it's something that we have to dedicate ourselves to, that we need to own these problems in order to resolve them, all of us. At the IU School of Education, for example, we're actively recruiting faculty of color in order to create a more welcoming environment for students of color, and also that these individuals would pursue scholarship and be advocates for social justice and inclusion. We are hopeful, by the way, to welcome 4 faculty of color to the IU School of Education this upcoming year on the basis of our recruitment efforts. Thanks. We're also developing a diversity plan for the School of Education, and one that I'm confident will be devoted to action and not just rhetoric, that will have specific activities and plans and actions that we will take in order to create a more inclusive environment and a more welcoming one for both faculty and students of color. We are also actively engaged in establishing scholarships for black males in teacher education. As you probably know, we don't have enough of those. We don't have enough black men who are going into teaching. So we want to create incentives for that by creating scholarship programs. And additionally, as I've spoken to with the grade 8, we are also going to be pursuing scholarship programs and funding opportunities for women of color to pursue doctoral degrees in education, such as they have done. So today is a day of celebration, and I think we need to look to the future with its challenges and its possibilities. And so I say one more time, congratulations and best wishes to the grade 8.
Thank you, Dr. Mason. I want to take just a minute or two to thank Laverne Johnson. She is in the back with the pink scarf. We just wouldn't be here without you. Thank you for your coordination, and thanks to your partners in Get the Job Done. So we appreciate you, okay? At this time, we will have a panel with our 8 PhD candidates. So please welcome to the stage, and I will share amazing information about each one of them. Jasmine M. Haywood. Jasmine is a proud Afro-Puerto Rican and native New Yorker. She has a bachelor's degree from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and a master's in higher education and student affairs from IU. She has worked as a researcher and student affairs practitioner in the areas of enrollment management, multicultural affairs, faculty development, and international affairs. Currently, she is the managing editor for the International Journal of Qualitative Studies in Education. Her dissertation is titled Triple Consciousness, the Racialized Experiences of Afro-Latino Collegians, and is chaired by Dr. Robin Hughes. Please welcome Demetrius L. Hutchins. All right now. Thank you, brother. Demetrius has a graduate certificate in institutional research from Indiana University, a Master of Arts in Philanthropic Studies from the IU School of Philanthropy, a graduate certificate in Nonprofit Management from SPIA, a BS in Informatics New Media, Media Arts from IU, and an associate certificate in Applied Computer Science from Purdue University. Well, I'm not done. She currently serves as a management analyst for IU School of Education, is a business owner, a private data consultant, a Zumba fitness instructor. Her dissertation is titled Increasing College Access, A Look at College Readiness from the Experiences of Foster Youth, and is chaired by Dr. Robin Hughes. I promise you, when you are done hearing the resumes of all 8 sisters, you will go home and you will do professional goal, hashtag professional goals. How about that? You'll get it together. Okay, next, Tiffany Kaiser. Tiffany is an Indianapolis native and a graduate of Culver Girls Academy of the Culver Academies. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Education and a Master of Arts in English from Indiana University School of Education and Indiana University School of Liberal Arts at IUPUI. Tiffany is a licensed teacher in the state of Indiana and is currently the Assistant Director of Technical Assistance at the Great Lakes Equity Center. She is the second student athlete and the only female student athlete in school history to have her jersey number 44, officially retired. And the 6th former women's basketball player to earn induction into the Hall of Fame. All right. Tiffany has over 14 years of experience working in education. Her dissertation is titled, Make Me a New Foundation, Make Me a New House, How a Midwestern City Can Capitalize on Current Portfolio Management Model Implementations as a Viable and Equitable Urban Education Reform Strategy. Wow. Her chair is Dr. Jim Sherrick, and her minor area chair is Dr. Rhonda Henry Anthony. Let us welcome Shannon Renee McCullough. Shannon received her Bachelor's of Science in Psychology from IUPUI in 2004 and a Master's from HESA in 2008. She was fortunate to have the opportunity to combine her love for both disciplines in her doctoral research with her PhD coupled with a minor in educational psychology. She balanced a full-time professional staff role throughout her graduate career and currently holds an administrator position as the Director of Admissions and Student Services for Herron School of Art and Design at IUPUI. Shannon's dissertation, go ahead. Shannon's dissertation is titled Social Cognitive Gains in Female Undergraduate Peer Instructors in STEM Disciplines and is chaired by Dr. Gary Pike. Shannon is the first of the Great 8 to have successfully defended her dissertation last week. All right, congratulations. Please join me in congratulating Nadrea R. Njuku. She is a native of New Orleans, Louisiana, and a 2000 graduate of Xavier University of Louisiana, historically black university for those of you that do not know. She currently works in the Office for Family, Schools, and Neighborhood Engagement in the Office for Community Engagement at IUPUI under the tutelage of Dr. Kala Murtada. Her dissertation is titled Xavier Created This, an HBCU campus environment's facilitation of exceptional black womanhood, and is chaired by Dr. Lori Patton Davis. Now join me in welcoming to the stage Jada Phelps-Maltry. She is one of the first IUPUI School of Education Executive Dean's Doctoral Fellows. The Indianapolis native received a Bachelor's of Science degree in Education from Ball State. She is a 13-time track and field MAC champion, NCAA All-American, and a 2000 Olympic trial qualifier. I love how you all are clapping. I love it. She holds a master's in sports management from University of Tennessee. Professionally, she taught and became a school principal in her 13-year tenure. In addition to a PhD, she received her second master's from IU in educational leadership and policy. Next week, she defends her dissertation entitled Black Parent Protectionism, Reframing Parental Involvement of Black Parents. Dr. Jim Sherrick is her chair, and Dr. Joe Momutegi is her mentor. Welcoming to the stage. Oh, you just made eye contact with me. Johanna N. Rogers. She is a native of Newark, New Jersey. Jersey's in the house. She received her undergraduate degree from Penn State. She currently resides in Syracuse, New York, where she is Director of Health Services and advocating for equity in healthcare with the Black and Latino communities. While pursuing the doctorate, Johanna worked with IUPUI and IU in several capacities as a researcher, Africana Studies adjunct faculty, and program director for the Hermano project. Her dissertation is titled Black Student Experiences in the Dominican Republic, a Critical Race Theory Analysis, and is chaired by Dr. Robin Hughes. Now, please join me in welcoming to the stage Jahari R. Shuck. Last but certainly not least, Jahari is a graduate of the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, who has most recently worked in the Office of Diversity with the Indiana University School of Medicine. She recently accepted a position as a manager of college advising programs at Chicago Jesuit Academy. Jahari was awarded research grants from the National Collegiate Athletics Association and the University of Michigan Bentley Historical Library for her dissertation research. Her dissertation is titled Legacy in Black and Blue, The Experiences of Black Football Players at the University of Michigan, 1968 to 2004, and is chaired by Dr. Robin Hughes and directed by Dr. Dion Dans. My goodness, phenomenal does not quite capture who you are and what you will be. Now, we have the pleasure of having a moderator for this afternoon's, or this morning, I don't know the time, panel. She is a recent graduate of the Higher Education Student Affairs doctoral program. In April 2014, she defended her dissertation, Black Women, White Campus, Students Living Through Invisibility. She is the director of the IUPUI Multicultural Center. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Khalila Shabazz.
Good morning. I most certainly consider it an honor, and I'm trying to hold back my emotions in this amazing time of celebration of the Great Eight, as many of them are my dear friends and sister scholars. Over the next few minutes, I will moderate a conversation to learn a little bit more about each one of them through some pre-selected questions. So I want to dive right on in and begin asking my sister scholars some questions. And I would like to start with Jahari. Can you talk a little bit about why the presence and contributions of Black women in the academy are important? And there are microphones on either side.
Okay. So I think that, do I take it off? Okay. So I think that all of us and all of our mentors are a testament to the fact that it's critical for women of color to be present in academia, but that falls along the lines of historical legacy set by Anna Julia Cooper and Mary McLeod Bethune about attaching yourself to your research. So all of us up here are deeply connected to our research topics. We either belong to the populations that we are studying, or we care deeply about the populations of people that we're studying, and that's okay. Traditionally in academia, there's this stigma about subjective and objective research, and Black women historically have shown that it's okay to be subjective in your research. I'll just really quickly say that from all of this that we've gotten, I got a message from a Black woman who's studying in Arizona, and she has consistently been told no, that she couldn't do her study about Black boys because in the state of Arizona, you know, there's issues there, but her committee has been telling her that they don't want to hear Black people complaining. They don't want to hear another study about what's wrong with Black people. And so she's been stuck in her dissertation process, and she said she's been drawn to tears because of this. But we have been fortunate and blessed enough that we don't have that. We have all these beautiful Black women over here that have helped us and shown us that it's good to represent your people in your research. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jahari. Tiffany, you have had an opportunity to meet personally with both Interim Dean of the School of Education, Dr. Terry Mason, Interim Executive Associate Dean, Dr. Robin Hughes, and Chancellor of IUPUI, Nasser Paydar. What have you all recommended to them to redress traumatic and marginalizing practices by students, faculty, and staff in the School of Education?
Thank you, Dr. Shabazz. That was a good question. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We all had the great pleasure, I think, as Dean Mason mentioned, to meet with him and Chancellor Paydar, as well as Vice Chancellor Dace, Karen Dace, Vice Chancellor of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here on campus. And we had some really, I think, rich conversations that were not centered around us, and they weren't centered around the celebration of our accomplishments for a myriad of reasons we can't get into for the sake of time, but touching on what Dr. Shuck just said, this sort of legacy that we are inheriting for those scholars and those individuals who've come before us, and also the great responsibility for those that are coming behind us. So we certainly stand in gratitude and in a posture of humility, at least we attempt to, as we engage in this celebration. But I want to point more to the question, and the focus of the question was celebration, but more celebration and critique. In that we are sitting in a space and situated within a university that has a lot of room for improvement. And that isn't to negate all the wonderful things that both Chancellor Paydar, Dean Mason just sort of shared with you all. But our concern was really the underpinnings of some troubling and pervasive and pernicious issues around othering and around oppression that are systemic and pervasive in this university and also within our broader community. So I'll focus my response there. We provided some remarks around additional funding for faculty and staff and students. We provided some ideas and some critique around how the university can engender a more welcoming and inclusive space for faculty and staff and students, and retaining and recruiting faculty and staff and students of color. So we had a lot of conversations about that, and so I won't go into great detail. What we did share was we presented two frameworks to help Dean Mason and Chancellor Paydar and Vice Chancellor Dace think through moving beyond sort of the necessary but often bureaucratic obstacles that get in the way of task force. And we offered these two frameworks in solidarity with them. We offered these two frameworks as critical thought partners with them. The first framework was around social justice. And so if we talk about social justice, we offered Nancy Fraser's research around social justice using the 3 R's. The first was recognition, recognizing that oppression is occurring, recognizing that some are benefiting at this university and some are not. The second is representation. So as we move forward in the Welcoming Campus Initiative and we move forward with the task force, that we center representation, authentic representation of all individuals in the community, including those who have been historically oppressed based off of race and ethnicity, but moving toward gender and gender expression and gender nonconformity and religion and non-veteran status. I see the minute sign. I'm going to go a little long. Let me tell you right now. and sexuality and sexual orientation, veteran status, citizenship status, etc. So we offer that representation, and the third is redistribution, and so we have to move toward redistributing. Particularly, I'm going to isolate on fiscal allocations, although there are many other allocations that need to occur. We need to think, I think, authentically and thoughtfully about how we redistribute the often limited funds that we have at the university, and in order to see real change, in order to develop the capacity necessary to see that transform the system that we have touted for many years to do. The second framework was, I'm pulled from the Great Lakes Equity Center we offered, was safety and inclusivity. So that we're physically safe, but we move beyond physical safety and we talk about intellectual safety, we talk about cultural safety, we talk about socio-emotional safety. So we offered those two frameworks to help redress some of the unsafe, uninclusive practices that exist at Indiana University and beyond, and hopefully really get at the underpinnings of what we're trying to do, which is to make a transparent, transformative paradigm shift, that we don't need to view this university as sort of looking at majority minority, that we understand there are no minorities, that individuals are minoritized, and until we move beyond that, that we will still be sort of caught in the loop of this struggle. And so I have great hope for our leadership, that they will stand with us in solidarity and stand with those across broad, historically marginalized groups and groups of people in order to see and work through real, authentic change.
Thank you, Tiffany. This next question is for Jada. Your family has a unique connection to and history with IUPUI. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Actually, I had a different question, but I will speak to it, and then I'll answer the question that I originally submitted. But no, that's only because it's an emotional journey for me. And my father is sitting here in the audience, and my father actually had a scholarship to IUPUI. And he decided to work very hard for his family instead, and went and returned back to get his bachelor's at Martin University later in his life. So it's kind of bittersweet to be here today at a place where he wanted to go. And so I don't want to get all emotional about it. But the question that I did submit was really about the advice I would give to students who are seeking PhDs. And want to enter into a traditionally white institution. I have some advice. It's going to start with a story by the name of Eunice Rivers. This was told to me by my mentor, Jomo Motegi. It was our first panel we did together. And Eunice Rivers happens to be the coordinator of the Tuskegee Syphilis Institute, or the experiment. And she was a black woman. She was a college graduate, and she was part of injecting syphilis into hundreds of black men and leaving them to wither away through that disease. And so if you want to go seek a terminal degree, then you have to understand racism, white supremacy, because you will be used as an agent for racism. And so if you want to come to a traditionally white institution, you have to understand exactly what you're entering into. You have to make sure that you surround yourself with people who are not going to lead you astray. And that's one of the things that I think that was wonderful about the Urban Education Studies program that headed by Dr. Jim Sherrick. Surprisingly, my first email to him was, I want Shalmer Thompson, and I want Robin Hughes, and I want these wonderful black women to be part of my program. And he said, we're going to get to that place, right? And we're going to talk about these issues. And he made sure he's, kept to his word. And he guided me along with my mentor, Jomo. And I had a wonderful experience. And the only time that I really faced this huge adversity was due to structural racism. and they were there to help me through it. So my advice is, if you're going to come into this institution, that you have a keen awareness of exactly the guises that have subjugated us throughout centuries. And then my second advice is, when you get this PhD, because of how invaluable it is to our people, and I mean black people, that you go back to our community. We don't do enough of building our own communities. We spend so much time, I've spent so much time and energy trying to convince people of the things that they were doing to black children that were wrong. And if I had used my energy to go build myself a school, I'd have that school by now. So that is my task now, is to build that school for our children. And so, thank you. So Robin said in a newspaper, Robin Hughes, Dr. Hughes said, you know, we're not going to sit cute in the ivory tower. No, I'm not. I'm going to build an ebony tower. So I appreciate that. And so I want to also make sure that when you get to this place, you're going to be passionate. We only need passionate people in this place. Because if you're not passionate about it, you're going to drive yourself crazy, and you're going to go through these publications, you're going to go through all the things that they say that you have to do. But put your energy back into us. It is so very important. We do, again, so much work trying to tell these institutions this is what we need. Go build it yourself. You can do it. That's my advice.
Thank you, Jada. Jasmine, what does wellness look like for Black women in the academy, and what are some strategies that we can utilize to achieve it?
Thank you. Is this on? Okay. I would say for Black women in particular, the first thing I would say is to be well and you know, physically, mentally, emotionally, and it took me a long time to learn this. You have to learn that no is a complete sentence, and you have to learn to use it often. It is very easy to be torn between being tokenized and feeling like you need to speak up and be at the table and provide a voice for those that look like you and that have been pushed to the margins. So that would be my first piece of advice. My other piece of advice regarding wellness would be being proactive and building things into your life to protect yourself and your time, and surrounding yourself with people that are going to protect you as well, right? So if you're teaching, if you know that at the end of the semester it's going to be stressful every year, build in a mental health wellness day at the end of the year, right, where you just stay home and keep to yourself. For those of us in the academy tend to be introverts, right? So maybe you need to strategize as far as which social events you're going to go to, because that can be draining, especially when you need to go home and raise a family and things like that. I would also say giving name to your pain, right? So there's literature on racial microaggressions, racial battle fatigue. People have theorized about our experiences. However, a lot of us, we're lucky to know this literature, but this is not the norm in most historically white institutions. So learn this literature, ask for references to this literature and read about it. There's power in reading about yourself and seeing yourself in the literature and giving name to your pain. The last thing I'll say is being vulnerable and finding spaces and people that you can be vulnerable with. Oftentimes, we'll text each other and we'll be like, girl, I am tired. I do not feel like writing this. today, you know, or, you know, actually earlier this week we were texting back and forth during one of our writing days, and, you know, we were like, it took me 2 hours to write 2 sentences. You know, and that's real, right? Because that's on some days that's what it's going to be like, and it's important to open yourself up to others, particularly other Black women, so that they know you're not by yourself. And it takes courage to do that, but when you do that, there's power in it. And you create a space, and you allow others not to feel so isolated and alone in this journey.
Thank you. So this last question is for all 8 of you. Can each of you briefly explain how your experiences as a Black woman have been unique for you in particular?
Am I first? Oh, okay. I would say for me, my journey has been unique because I've tried to break the mold or the common narrative about what single motherhood is all about. You know, people have this stigma, and when I came here, I didn't know anyone, and I had to create my own journey and my own network to help me with my kids, and I did that. And so I guess just having 2 kids in 2 different places for the past 7 years, that's been quite a unique journey, and I'm happy that it's going to be ending soon. So.
Hi. How my journey has been unique. I think from moving here with a 3-month-old and my mom driving cross country with me in my 1992 Chevy Lumina to a place no one in my family had ever been. You know, I knew in 2005 when I relocated here, I didn't know a soul. And I look around the room today, and there's so many. There are just so many people here that have helped me and guided me along the way through every aspect of this experience, to all the places I've been around the world. And coming here, I didn't have anyone in undergrad that looked like me, except for a basketball coach. And I wasn't playing basketball, so he wasn't my coach. But let me be clear about that. But I got here, and Nicole Oglesby hired me and helped me move into my first apartment and introduced me to Dr. Lance. And there was so many Black women with PhDs, I couldn't believe it. And that just morphed into everything that was meant to happen in my life, from teaching with Africana Studies, and I have no idea why Monroe Little hired me, but I traveled to a conference with him, and he said, I want you to teach a class. And through that today, there's students that have been around the world with me, and I just could never imagine all of this when I walked onto campus 11 years ago as a master's student in Dr. Hughes's class, and her holding the baby and doing all that. And cussing me out and everything else, and loving me at the same time. But I think that is the unique, and that is the part that makes this so special for me, is the people that are here and the women up here that have done this with me. I did not do this alone, when so often I know that there are so many people out there that do. And so that I just want to say thank you.
As I'm handed the tissue, my unique journey. Wow. So, my parents have been married for 37 years, and yeah, they're over there, Dylan and Marcus Phelps. And I, unfortunately, my second year in my first marriage, my ex-husband and I divorced, and I became a co-parent. And that was really difficult for me. And I was living in Houston, and I came back home, and my parents were like, whatever you need. They were always there, and they picked me up, and I just started this journey. I said, let me pick up where my career left off there, and I started teaching and then leading again. And I got so fed up with the system that I had to leave after 13 years. And here I was with this little boy, Steven. Steven at the time was about 8 years old when I started working on my master's. And the poor child had to go to class with me. If my mother's an educator, and she works out in Muncie Community Schools, and my father at the time, he is a UPS truck driver, and so he was they were always busy during their work, but you know, anytime my family needed to be there for me, they were. And then I met this wonderful man off of Match.com named Antoine Moultrie. And that is my husband, and we met May 31st, the summer before I started this program, and then he also got orders to leave. He was in the Army. And so we decided we wanted to stay together forever. But we did not know how we were going to work things out. And he was like, look, you've got this fellowship, you've got your PhD, we're going to figure this out. And so I started off as a single co-parenter, and now I'm ending with 3 kids. We've added 2 more to our family the last 4 years, and I have a child, 2 of them who are asleep. One is Alara, she's 1 year old, and the other one is Andrick, and he's 2 years old. So my unique journey is just the whole family dynamics changing. I had a husband who was about to deploy, and then he was leaving, and I had a baby the first year, and my parents my goodness, my parents need like doctor's awards too, or whatever. If we can get them an honorary award, yeah. But having that support system is what got me through this. I have to say that. And so, you know, military wife, 3 children now. That's a completely different paradigm than single mother, co-parenter, you know, toting your child around I already know, I've been there. Yeah, that's my unique journey. And so I feel like if you guys have any barriers and you're like, oh, I got kids. Oh, no, it's okay, bring them. You find a program that'll let you bring them. And then, you know, if you're like, oh, I've got my spouse, and we're working, it's okay. You can do this if you really want to. So there you go.
I'm trying to think about exactly what I would say. I think what makes this particular journey unique, I think we all have very unique journeys in our lives, and there are things that we think make us unique, but really very common. It's that thread that connects you to a particular population that you belong to. For me, I think I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana, and that is kind of a metaphor for the black woman in the ivory tower or in higher education, in that you see her and she looks great and it's wonderful and it's very spirited, and she has a pep in her step, like, you know, a second line. But then when you look past that, there's a very complex city with a lot of nuances, a lot of color, and a lot of tragedy as well. And so growing up in New Orleans, I saw a lot. Death was near all the time. But I think that the one place that I could be okay was school. And so for me, school has always been picture perfect. It's been like a scene out of a different world. I went to a great HBCU. I became a sorority girl and did that. I met a fraternity boy, and we got married, and he helped everybody up the stairs. So everything has been like a different world episode. It's just been perfect as far as school is concerned. But the PhD program was the one place where it scared me to death, and I could not run away. And I couldn't run away because I had examples of what I could be, and that if I didn't run away, these were the examples of what I would be.
I'm in the middle of dissertation editing, so I'm always emotional as I wrap this degree up. So this is, we'll see how things go. I'm a Jaguar through and through. I came here in 1999 and I have not left. I'm very proud of this campus. I feel like this is a home, and I come from an IU Bloomington family, and I knew I needed to be here. So my journey is not unique, but it's one thing that has been filled with my need to just balance. And as people who know me might say I'm a little tenacious, and I'm gonna get that job done. But I knew that I needed to not only be pursuing school, but I had a need to work, and not just work, but I had a need to be in a managerial position, a leadership position, and keep advancing myself in that way. And on top of that, I'm a wife, I'm a mother of 2 children, and everything at the same time has just been a struggle sometimes. But I had to keep all of that together because as I went through this, I started my research. I do a lot of research on role models, and I started seeing myself becoming a role model to other women, other Black women who were trying to deal with that same balance. And so for the sake of those who I lead every day, for the sake of myself, I just had to keep going and find ways to keep myself centered and progressing. So one thing that I've felt fortunate, and this is where it might fall apart, I've been very fortunate that I have had people surrounding me that have provided that balance, and trying not to make eye contact with those people, but I've had supervisors in my life, and I see my past and present one here, who have allowed me to succeed in my profession, in my academics, and in my personal life, because they understood the need for me to do all of that and to be a better person. And so there was just, and it didn't matter if they were male or female, both sides understood that need for me and allowed me that. And so as a supervisor myself, and any person here who is responsible for leading people, I hope that everyone allows that same balance for their staff and for their employees and those they lead, because it is important, and that doesn't happen all the time. And I was unfortunately surrounded by colleagues whose bosses were not understanding of their need to just balance, and allowed them for that. So I've been very lucky with that journey, and I'm very lucky to continue being here at IUPUI, and I'm fortunate for those I work with, past and present. And yeah, I think that's it.
I feel like what's unique about my journey is that it's not unique at all. That like everyone has shared before me, there have been a tremendous amount of individuals at this campus, at this institution, who have been incredibly supportive, and also individuals who exist within the community who understand the importance of supporting, of mentoring, of advocating for those that sometimes are not at the table or that often do not have a voice. And so, I think, I don't know, because I'm still in the journey. I don't know how to really answer this question. But I do feel incredibly grateful for the individuals, many of whom I see family and friends who are here. My cousin Deshawn, I see on my left, who has attended, she's waving right there, who's attended ever since I was a little girl, and on a basketball scholarship here, and yelling and stomping in the gym, the hard gym floor, which my knees are paying for now. And Steve Henshaw, who's right behind her, who I've been playing basketball with for, I think, close to 10 years now, to Marcus Robinson, who's sitting here in the middle, who was a tremendous mentor and continues to be a tremendous inspiration to me about the vigilance necessary to support all students in our K-12 system. to Dr. Rhonda Henry Anthony, who just gave me feedback about 2 months ago out of love on my dissertation and telling me that I need to continue to write, that she will not accept what I sent her. To name a few. But there are many other individuals. I see Camille Warren, who's a colleague of mine, and Dr. Kathleen King-Torius, who are both incredibly fierce in their own rights and have challenged me to grow and to think and be much more thoughtful and reflective. And I see individuals who I've worked with when I was 19 here at this institution, like Dr. McCullough, who I came here in 1990. I know. I came here in 1999, and to be so fortunate to still be here and to matriculate through 3 degrees at this university has been such a privilege and an honor. So I just wanted to share that. I don't know necessarily if I have anything unique, but I just have my perspective. And I'm just so appreciative for all those who have been supportive of me. Kim Stewart-Brinston, I see as well, who gave me my first position as a graduate assistant. So my cohort mates in the back and Dr. Jim Shirks. This is turning into shout-outs, so I'll transition.
In keeping that momentum going, I'd just like to ask really quickly, can everyone stand up? Can you stand up, please? Take a good look around real quick and take a bow. No, seriously, take a bow. You all are the reason why I'm sitting here on the stage, okay? You all are the reason why I'm here, because every last one of you, even the ones that I just met today, have a particular purpose in my life because God said so, or you wouldn't be here, okay? But for the ones that I've known since I've been on this campus since 2001, you are my family. You are the reason why I am here. I would not have been able to do it without you. As an undergrad, folks like Dr. Lands and Nicole and Dr. Turner and Tracy and Kalila and a whole bunch of other folks were there in place, okay, making sure that me, this lowly old foster child that didn't have a biological family around them at all, who was slated to be 1%, not even attend college, was able to accomplish degrees 6 times over because of each and every last one of you. The community, IUPUI community, the Indianapolis community, Sharon Pierce, CEO of the Villages. A lot of folks are here because they were crucial throughout the most pivotal times of my life, from the time I got emancipated at 16 until I'm sitting here in front of you as a PhD candidate, soon to defend. We all got until July, don't we? So that is my unique story. That's what makes me unique, is because this is a community degree, and I've said it before, it's a people degree. This is a people degree. Every last person here had a hand in making sure that I reached this point, that I was sitting here today. These ladies up here on this stage had a hand, whether it was just like, hey, Dee, thank you, or whether it was offering words of encouragement. Your own tenacity is what got me going. Y'all my family, and I say that. And I say that often. Folks will hear me say that often. Reason being is because if I call you my family, you are my family, okay? So I'm here because of you all. My journey was unique because I didn't have anybody, and y'all became my support system. And yeah, I'm talking using very broken grammar right now, but that's just how I am. I'm gonna keep it real with you, okay? Y'all my family, and y'all are the reason why I'm here. So I thank you all for being here, and that's what makes my story unique.
Poor timekeepers up front. Sorry, guys. We got a lot to say. My journey has been unique, I would say, for 2 particular reasons. I'm trying to think, which one should I talk about first? Okay, so the first reason I'd say is my identity is what's made my journey unique. So as an African descendant Latina, particularly Puerto Rican, there's notions around what blackness and what Latinidad looks like. And coming from New York, that was foreign for me, coming from a place where there were a lot of people that looked like me, a lot of Afro-Caribbeans. Coming to the Midwest, where there was more of a black and white binary, I've had to do a lot of educating. There were more slaves sent to the Caribbean, to the Spanish-speaking Caribbean in particular, than were sent to the mainland United States, right? And I'm looking at Iris Rosa over there. And so, I too am the blood of African slaves, just like, anyone else, no matter what country they come from. And so there's these limited definitions of what blackness is, of what it is to be Latino. There's not everyone looks like J-Lo, right? There's people like Laz Alonso, like Carmelo Anthony and his wife, Lala Anthony, Tatiana Ali. There's people out there that have been pushed to the margins within a minoritized category because of the historical oppression of African descendants. And so part of my journey has been giving a name to Afro-Latinos and to their experiences and to the complexities of their experiences. The second thing that, and the last thing, that made my journey unique, I would say, is I have an almost 3-year-old, and when he was about 9 months old, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And after that happened, it took me a long time to come to terms with my diagnosis and the very long list of symptoms that I was dealing with as a result. Particularly as a woman of color, right? We are socialized to always do more and to not take a break. And it's not my instinct to take care of myself first. It's my instinct to take care of others first. And so I've been forced to learn to put my oxygen mask on first and take care of myself. My autoimmune disease is what's categorized as an invisible illness, so I'm not bleeding. I don't have broken bones. And so to most people, almost all people, right, I look very capable of doing a lot of things, but I'm not, and that's okay. And so knowing that I've been blessed with a body that tells me when I'm doing too much and when I need to slow down is important, and really just leaning on my support system, my husband, who's in the audience. I would not be able to do this without the support of my husband. We're a dual career couple, so that adds another layer. He's also a graduate of the HESA program and has his PhD. And believe it or not, it's even hard for me to ask him for help. So he's continually telling me to ask him for help. And so just leaning on him and my sister that lives here, my dad who's recently retired, who now comes out here regularly to help with my son so that I can write and finish. Just all of those layers, I would say, is what's really made my journey unique.
Can you join me in celebrating all of them?
Grade 8, in closing, I just want to say that I am honored to have shared this opportunity with you. I love you. I cherish the memories that I have with many of you, and I'm so proud of you and the beautiful mosaic of hope that you have given to black women and black girls everywhere. This, I'm sure, will continue to go viral because you are amazing and your stories are going to live on forever. The 8 ladies will be available at the post reception if you would like to congratulate them or if you have any additional questions. Please welcome Catherine Weedle for the next portion of our program.
My body and my soul are vibrating right now, so I hope it doesn't come through in my voice. And I will dare say that if you don't feel anything right now, you are not alive. So good morning. I thought this was a celebration. I said good morning. Okay, that's a little better, but I'll let you slide. So my name is Catherine Weedle, and I am a doctoral candidate in the HESA program, and I am humbly and proudly coming behind these women. So graduation won't be as exciting next year. I am incredibly proud of and inspired by the women that we've just heard from. And for those who I know personally, I would like to say publicly a heartfelt thank you. It's not about me, I'm sorry. Because by your example, I learned that I could do this, and I can do it my way. You, alongside women like Tamika Ferguson, Jessica Harris, Autumn Harrell, Mahogany Shaw, and Sydney Rucker, because you know you have to say their names, set a bar for me and also set the expectation that I could not only reach it, but surpass it. So please join me in giving these women another round of applause. Catherine, get it together. Okay. As much as I can share how much these women have influenced me, we all stand on the shoulders of giants. Women who have long shown us that we should keep running because winners don't quit on themselves. Come through, Lemonade. Today, I stand to help the Grade 8 with a few special acknowledgments. So will the following faculty members please join us on the stage? We'd like to take this moment to say thank you. And after all names are called, please remain on the stage for a photograph. Now let me say this, I'm gonna say your titles, but if I don't have all the titles, don't blame me because the internet's don't move as fast as your fabulousness. Okay. Dr. Shalmer Thompson, Associate Dean for Research and Academic Affairs, and Associate Professor in Counseling and Counselor Education. Dr. Dion Dans, Associate Professor in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, specifically in History of Education. Dr. Iris Rosa, Professor, Director of Undergraduate Studies, and Director of the African American Dance Company. Okay. Dr. Kala Mutada, Associate, come on through, Associate Vice Chancellor for Community Engagement. Dr. Lori Patton Davis, Professor in Higher Education and Student. That's her, yes, I said it correctly, because the internets aren't as fast enough. Professor. Dr. Mary Howard Hamilton, Professor in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Associate Dean for Graduate Studies at Indiana State. Dr. Robin Hughes, Interim Executive Associate Dean and Associate Professor in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies in the Higher Education Student Affairs Program. Dr. Rhonda Henry Anthony, Associate Professor of English and Africana Studies, Public Scholar of African American Studies and Undergraduate Research, and Founding Director of the Oleana Scholars Program. Dr. Cherie Wilson, former Assistant Dean of the Faculty's Assistant Clinical Professor in Higher Education and Student Affairs. Dr. Natasha Flowers, yes, come on, that's you, Clinical Assistant Professor in Teacher Education. Yes, you too, Dr. Flowers. Dr. Claudette Lands, Assistant Dean of Student Support and Diversity and Director of Project Team. Dr. Regina Turner, Associate Professor of Communications. We are infinitely grateful for this supportive group of Black women. Please give them a rousing round of applause.
I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge those whose shoulders we stand on. These women, really there aren't enough thank yous or words, but they have been their authentic selves with us from the beginning. And, you know, they've been real. They've been honest with us. They've told us and you know, said things that maybe we didn't want to hear, but it's come from a place of critical love. They've also been nurturing and, you know, just beyond what we could ever ask for. We were blessed to have them in our journeys. And for that, we just want to say thank you and we appreciate you.
Yep, we're good. Thank you. You can return to your seats. Relax. Okay. So we will now hear Carrie Parker's poem. Carrie Parker was the first Black female to earn a high school diploma in Vermilion County. She was failed in the 8th grade 3 times, as this was a tradition in order to stop Blacks from reaching high school. School officials simply waited for Black students to drop out. However, Carrie Parker was determined to succeed. She graduated high school, then went on to enroll and take classes at Indiana University in 1898, becoming the first Black woman to attend IU. However, because of continued racism, she was not allowed to live on campus and had to cook and clean for a white professor in exchange for a place to stay. Parker persisted for 1 year, saying that she almost killed herself, and as she worked and took classes simultaneously. Parker did not finish her degree, yet still she instilled the importance of education into her 6 children. She also gave voice to the inequity and racism she experienced in the form of the next poem titled The Negro's Challenge. This poem was printed in 1915 on the front of the Tulsa Star. I would like to welcome Dr. Rhonda Henry Anthony to the stage to read this poem.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is so amazing to be here. It is just, there are very few events that you go to where you can celebrate the greatness, the fabulousness, the beauty, the intelligence, and the love and dedication and perseverance of Black women. So I'm just, as the young lady who was up here before said, I'm just vibrating. I am so inspired by these young women. And I know several of them, not all of them, but I just give you love, love, and more love from the Black women who were here to nurture you and to see you grow and to be all that you can be. I know you're gonna go out and do beautiful things and accomplish wonderful things. And I'm just so thankful to be a part of it, just blessed, so thank you. Before I read the poem, though, I have a Black woman that also served as an inspiration for me and reminds me of this event, and I just want to read a quote from her. Only the Black woman can say when and where I enter in the quiet, undisputed dignity of my womanhood, without violence and without suing or special patronage. Then and there the whole race enters with me. That's Anna Julia Cooper, 1892. And so back to Miss Carrie Parker Taylor, who worked within the tradition of women like Pauline Hopkins and Anna Julia Cooper, the Negro's Challenge. You complain, my brother, my lily white brother, of our poor race now and then, yet you never have said that we should do what we should do to prove to you that we are men and women. We've done everything so far that you've done except sit in the president's chair, and she didn't get to see it, but now we got that. And the only reason we haven't done that is because you won't let us sit there. In every walk of life that you've been, there's at least one of us there. And you cannot deny but that we do our work just as good and as fair. Among the more common crafts of men and women, such as carpenters, masons, and painters, we have quite a number, and plasterers too, and many stock raisers and planters. We have lawyers and doctors and bankers a few, and teachers and PhDs we have by the score. Undertakers and merchants and manufacturers and preachers, we have them galore. We have sculptors, architects, artists, inventors, and poets and statesmen of fame, actors, orators, and authors, and goodness knows what else. For everything we do, I can't name. We print our own papers, publish our own books. We sing and we play, same as you. And in some cases, we have been known to compose some good music too. In fact, I don't know anything that you've done when you've given us a chance and we've tried that we haven't done as well as you could, and sometimes better besides. We've even gone farther in some things than you, and now we need not despair. For if we don't like our heads like sheep's wool, why, we can straighten our hair. You say that at least we can't change our skins. Well, we've knocked that in a hat. For by the aid of your sensual men, many of us have done even that. You say we have vices. We got them from you. You're all the pattern we've had. So don't charge the race up with the misfits you see, since our patterns so often were bad. So what more, my brother, my lily white brother, must we do to prove that we are men and women? If 'tis aught you can do, and you'll give us a chance, we'll do it as good as you can. Thank you.
Anytime we're in a space where we can hear the words lily white brother and Negro, I'm in the right place. We're in the right place. I hope y'all were paying attention. Really. Thank you so much, Dr. Anthony. Okay. At this time, I want to welcome to the stage for closing remarks Dr. Robin Hughes, Interim Executive Associate Dean of the IU School of Education at IUPUI. And as she walks over here, I want to be clear with all of you that she has been part of the architecture of reform in the School of Education. We have seen within the months of her leadership, we have seen a change in disposition. We have seen what she helped to create in terms of looking at faculty development, thinking about whiteness in the institution. We have benefited from her research. We have benefited from her work in the Black community. And we have benefited from the fact that she owns her leadership with active listening and with lots of meaningful activity. So we are blessed to have you as our Executive Associate Dean.
Okay, let me take my heels off since I can't move this thing. Plus my feet are killing me. And everybody knows I don't wear shoes. So I'm going to try my best not to sing Purple Rain. I am feeling some doggone type of way for the last 2 weeks, though. And now this and all this crying and going on, and y'all know I don't cry. Okay, I'm a big crybaby, but most people don't know that. My students know. So in the last couple of weeks, the most frequently asked question by the media has been, why is this so important? So I started coming up with a list of things, and I will be publishing them later. You'll see some via Twitter, but I don't publish like BS, but I do publish some stuff. So the second most frequently asked question is, what can I do to help? And I'll get at that at the very end, so get your wallets out. So typically there are just a few folks who graduate from any doctoral program or discipline with a PhD. So this year we will have 10 African Americans that I know about, these 8, and then 2 more of my graduate students who are males who will be graduating. That's a big doggone deal. And I'm going to say their names. That's Eric Williams and Brandon. Eric Williams, where is he? Okay. He's from the HESA program. And then Brandon Curry, who is the head men's tennis coach here. And he's graduating from the Urban Ed Studies program. All are from the School of Education, and we know that schools of education greatly impact our communities, cities, states, and nations. Should be. So again, why is this important? If you think about this, when you read the newspaper and you watch media outlets and look at just how Black women are depicted, what are some of the pictures that you conjure up in your mind? If you can remember the 2 or 3 that you see in the newspaper, or the 1 or 2 that are in the media or on television that are not on one of the Housewives shows. Okay, and I do watch those too. So this event, the Grade 8 graduation specifically, is a new, I would say, trend-setting pictorial that should be etched into the contemporary and historical memories of young girls, current doctoral students, young folks in general, and just America. Also, I want you to be clear, and God, when I say that, I want to say the Great Eight makes America great again. Okay? See if anybody can trump that. Okay, so let's also be clear, it's a big deal because of the type of education. And you know what, I kind of stole that from Nasser. He used that during a speech. So let me go ahead and reference him, and then I'm going to ask him for some money. So also be clear, it's a big deal because of the type of education that these women and all of our graduates, and I mean all of our graduates, undergraduates, receive in the School of Education. They're taught through a critical lens. Most of us do. So what does this mean? They don't get to come to class and kick back. They don't get to come to class and be comfortable with the discourse. It's uncomfortable discourse most of the time in many of our classes. We ask questions like, what are we doing as educators? What are we not doing? What do we need to do? What have we done? What have we missed? We are absolutely not perfect. Most of us know that. Now, some of us still think we have some perfection going on. It's not fun to self-evaluate every day, and unfortunately and fortunately for us, sometimes our own students check us all the time. They keep and hold us accountable, and if you can't handle the truth or good critique, then baby, don't teach in the School of Education, because you will be checked. They check us very nicely. They keep me in formation. So why is this group so important? They don't get to be cute. They don't get to have a frou-frou Corella DeVille mixed with Betty Davis accent. You know, some people get accents when they get a PhD. I've never been able to figure that out. They turn into Madonna. You know, she has a British accent too. So they don't get to do that and have conversations about absolutely nothing. They don't get to take positions in the ivory tower where they take the days off and go to the mountains or to Hawaii and find themselves. Sorry. They have to roll up their sleeves and hit the ground running. Wait until you guys get to your institutions. You're going to meet the Carol Craigs, the Calla Murtadas. We call her KK behind her back. And I'll tell you why I call her KK. I made it up because the bossy person in the neighborhood, we called her KK, and Calla Murtada is bossy. So she's KK behind her back. So now she'll know this. You'll get this look from the Dr. Lanzes and the Regina Turner. You will find them, they will find you, they will peer over their glasses and give you the little girl look. No matter how grown you think you are, I am like their contemporary, but they act like I am their baby sister. And no matter how much you think you know, they will find you and you will be schooled. So be prepared. Another thing you don't get to do is just sit around and talk about deconstruction and da-da-da and Lincoln and Guba and Sherrick and Paulo Freire and coloring people's epistemologies and use fancy words like axiological and epistemological and ontological at fancy and unnecessary cocktail parties while they are sipping sangria. That's cute talk that some folks like to use because they feel they need to look and sound smart. You don't have to do all that, and you don't get to do all that. You have to do the darn thing. So while some folks are busy talking about and theorizing at their frou-frou parties, these folks know that they have to theorize on the way to the state house, to the courthouse, and to the schoolhouse. They have to make sense of the work and use the work to help inform policy and practice in schools, in institutions, and in organizations. They have to do the work to support brand new teachers, to support kids and students in higher education and administrators in K-12 and higher education. We hope that we have trained pains in the butt for social justice and equity. I'm hoping that's what happens. But I know that most of these folks are pains in the fanny. So we've done a great job. They are critically important in helping to address the pathological behavior that we see enacted in all types of organizations. They are, I like to think of them as like surgeons, only you don't get paid as much. Those are the real doctors, my kids keep telling me. So surgeons get at the core of particular pathologies, and they reconstruct. These folks learned how to deconstruct the veneer of language and actions used in schools, organizations, and society. So deficit language like at risk, they don't get to treat at-risk people. They treat the perpetrators who produce the language of at risk. They don't treat culturally deprived folks. They treat the perpetrators who created the language of cultural deprivation. They deconstruct what it means to be special, and they school, as in special ed, and school the folks who have never had any experience at all with the folks who they have conveniently labeled as special. And I'm giving you the Prince side eye. Okay? Okay, I had to scratch some of this. They are critical crews of scholars. They have been taught not to play the game. Many of them walked into the door not playing the game, which is so problematic in so many levels. When I hear that, it drives me absolutely bonkers. So I'm going to go into like a 2-second diatribe about playing the game, then I'll get back. So it's one of the most selfish phrases that I ever hear. And what it means to me is that I'm going to do whatever I can to move myself in order to advance myself. And if it means watching folks get silenced, so be it. It means watching vocal folks be excluded, so be it. Because they, the vocal, are not professional. And being quiet and watching awful things happen and occur is professional. Why do I hear Lemonade playing in the background? I want to say, boy, bye. So, or girl, bye. If I'm able to play the game and move up into the plantation life as head in charge, that's what I'm gonna do. Now, sometimes we hear that I need to be at the table in order to make change. Baloney. The game players move themselves and nobody else and serve as great gatekeepers to make sure that the angry people like me are never at the table to upset massa. But guess what? Angry black girl is at the table, baby. That is some, and I do want to say that's just some corny Christie mess. And if you want to ask these folks here what Christie is, do that when you get home. Nevertheless, I hope that they enter into their organizations and change the game. And I hope that they know that it's not okay to play the game. If the game players show up with a baseball and glove, you show up with a tennis ball and change the goddamn game. At least I said dang. So I want to switch gears. I'm getting to the money. I want to switch gears to the second part of the question, or the most frequently asked questions. So folks have asked what they can do to support the students, and I'm going to ask that you consider thinking about the next generation of transformative educators who may experience similar circumstances. Many of our doctoral students had children. While there are lovely child care facilities located right near us, Prince Side-Eye, they are costly. And I love babies and children, and while I am sure that my kisses and hugs are some of the best care that anyone could receive, that's only 3 hours per week during one of my classes. So what about the rest of the week? And I would love them all in my office, but I only like them till they're 2, then they have to go. Because they start walking and getting into stuff. So when I hear students, plus they don't like kisses around then. So when I hear students talk about co-ops and unaffordable child care, trying to find someone to watch the children while they're in class, and I just have to sit there and look silly and listen and feel helpless, I know that there's something that we can do. Imagine trying to read a paper while thinking about where to send your kids when you're trying to live on a graduate salary. Imagine trying to order regalia that is overpriced and having to wait on a check or pay dates. Imagine trying or always having to think about little things that we have forgotten about, just like eating. I remember when doggone Johanna was a master's student, anytime I ordered something, I knew I was going to have to share. I was like, if I ever get a platform, I am going to ask for enough lunch money for all of the master's students. Because we're both tall, so we're both hungry. And we both can eat, okay? We're not no little girls. So, but the good thing is they learn to share and to make do, but I'm hopeful that we can support the next generation of grade 8s, divine 9s. I've stolen that, please, sororities and fraternities, don't come for me. Talented 10s, heaven 11s, or whatever. I'm hopeful that they can get some support from the school. So let me leave you with this little mathematical problem. So Leanne, our development officer extraordinaire, uses the number 83 quite eloquently. So she shared with me during an interview that 83 per month for 12 months is a magical number in the development circles. It's $1,000 per year donation. So I thought about our communities of color as a collective, because we have this collective identity. We love talking about the village, so village, come on now. If 100 people donated $83 for 12 months in 1 year, that's $100,000. If 100 people pledged $167 for a year, that's $200,000. So in 10 years, that's $1 million if I get 100,000. If I get 200,000, that's 5 years. But even if it's 200 people that pledge $42 or some iteration of the $83 for a year or more, I mean, that makes substantial impact. So if you ask me what you can do to help, I'm going to say open up your wallet, write your check, help to relieve the unneeded stress of students. Some of this stress they just absolutely don't need and don't have to go through. The grade 8ers have agreed to do the stressful work after they leave. The village could help to support and relieve some of the needless stress while they are preparing to do the work. All right, can we eat now? Me and John are hungry. Hey, and so we do have these little donation cards. And our development officer is back there in the middle waving her hand. Like you just don't care. Okay. All right, now I'm really done, and I will not be singing Purple Rain.
Dr. Hughes, save me a plate. Thank you so much. You have the envelopes, $83 a month, and we can make a difference in the next 8 that come through. This is the conclusion of our program, right, Jasmine? Yeah. Right. And so we have refreshments available, courtesy of the School of Education, IUPUI, as well as in Bloomington, and we look forward to more hugs and pictures. And Nassar's office, Chancellor Paydar, thank you so much. To Kalila, we love you. Dr. Henry, Dr. Flowers, Vicki Daniels, thank you so much. I think I speak for all of us, and when I say Laverne, thank you. Kat, thank you. We're just humbled. I don't know that there are more words beyond that. So we look forward to meeting you all out in the reception area. Thank you.